more and more provinces are heading into a COVID-19 third wave, with Gauteng remaining the epicentre. South Africa currently has over 110,000 active cases. Well, with the taxi industry operating as usual, what safeguards are in place to ensure passenger safety? Let's speak now to the South African National Taxi Council spokesperson, Thabisho Molelekwa. Thabisho, a very good afternoon, and thanks so much for your time. Let's talk about what is happening, especially in the midst of this third wave, and especially here in Gauteng. You have, there was a mask on campaign that's been underway for quite some time, but it doesn't seem to be working. You as Santaco actually found that commuters were not adhering to the COVID protocols. They were not being made to adhere to them. We're also hearing stories that taxi drivers are actually afraid to ask commuters to wear those masks and follow those safety rules. What's been happening out there? What have you observed?
Good afternoon, Iveka, and good afternoon to the viewers. And indeed, what you are saying is true. We are quite worried about that, especially because we are now in the third wave, especially here in Gauteng. And what we've also realized is the reason for drivers to be so afraid to tell commuters is because some of them threaten not to get onto those taxis. And given that everybody is pursuing money at this moment to ensure that they survive, that's the reason. But what we have done last year, we introduced a policy which we have noted that there has been a relaxation in its enforcement of spot fines for drivers who either do not have masks on or are driving commuters who are not having masks on, which was a penalty of about 500 rand. With the exception of KZN, which has increased it to about 800 rand. So what we want to do with that is to now strengthen that and ensure that people charged with that responsibility at the ranks in the regions are able to enforce it. We want to go back to the basics, which have really helped us last year to survive the pandemic.
Well, you have to wonder then, what would be the thing that would make them scared, that would actually make them do this, Thabisho? I mean, obviously just imposing fines, that's money that they make up in a couple of days anyway. Is it not time to maybe impound those taxis? Is it not time to say, listen, you can't operate now until you actually start playing by the rules?
Well, true, but you see, the issue around impoundment, firstly, is it's a prerogative of law enforcement agencies in the country. But secondly, what we are doing is, especially at taxi ranks, we are ensuring that vehicles that leave taxi ranks has got commuters who are fully compliant in terms of the law. And this applies also to long distance operations, which are at this moment, as you would know, even more riskier, to ensure that they comply fully. The challenge, however, is those taxis that are out there in the streets, which are not even properly monitored. We have now bring into play our patrol vehicles, which are now looking after those taxis. But the challenge that we have is that those patrol vehicles will not be able to see all those taxis. So it's a challenge that we are grappling with. In a week, we will be holding an NEC meeting to see what the leadership of Santaco decides on how best to deal with this matter.
And, I mean, you would imagine that by now everybody would get with the program, Thabisho, that commuters themselves would have to understand. Like we say, it's a driver problem and a commuter problem. It seems to be that sometimes drivers are not wearing their masks and sometimes commuters don't want to wear their masks. So isn't it time that you maybe ramped up your awareness campaigns at ranks as well, that people actually, maybe they don't really understand what the dangers are here, that this is life and death?
It is a matter of life and death, and this is why we have partnered with companies like Distel, like National Liquor Traders Council, to really strengthen our campaign on the ground. Part of what we want to do is to ensure that those drivers found not to be wearing masks, disciplinary measures are taken against them. We have further even collaborated with some institutions in an effort to assist government with the vaccination program, because what we also want to do, we want to ensure that our drivers are vaccinated as part and parcel of mitigating against the virus. So there are a number of challenges. Some of them obviously are challenges that we thought by now, both commuters and drivers alike would have understood and appreciated, the risks that come with COVID. But obviously it means that we need to look at alternative ways of ensuring that people comply throughout.
And you did say that things like impounding those vehicles would be the job of Metro Police departments, of the cops as well. So what are your plans then maybe to actually get them to work more with authorities, to work more with police, and maybe just get that done? It might just be a matter of doing this for a few weeks to get everybody to play ball.
And it's quite ironic, Iveka, that at the heart of the third wave, we would find challenges like this when you expect everybody to be pulling towards the same direction. Indeed, we want to work with the authorities, especially in provinces with increasing numbers, with high third wave levels. We do want to work with the authorities, but at the same time, we want to ensure that our people, through our internal structures, are able to comply, and those that are not complying are dealt with to the point that they understand the risks that comes with it. So in the next few weeks, we will be really getting hard down on the ground to ensure that our people, commuters, drivers, rank marshals, queue marshals, really comply with COVID laws.
All right, you say in the next few weeks, so when exactly does that start? When do you start taking a harder line?
Well, we need there should be an executive committee meeting that should be held sometime next week, and that then would then take the decision on how best to ensure that we intensify our campaign and obviously be able to make a pronouncement on the disciplinary measures that can be taken against those who are not complying.
But why sometime next week, Thabisho? This is obviously a matter of urgency. People have to get to work. Some people can't stay at home. They will lose their jobs. That's the other concern. Like you say, they know that people need to get to where they're going, so they don't argue. So why not today? Why isn't this meeting happening today, or why not as urgently as like right now?
No, it is urgent, Iveka, and the reason why I'm saying next week, sometime next week, is precisely because there is a process of setting up the date and communicating with provinces. We hope before the end of this week, not next week rather, sorry, this week. We hope that before the end of this week, that meeting would have been convened.